Today's Tuesday tune-in. As you can see, we've got Jody instead of Andy. I don't even know if we're live yet, so no one might actually be listening. And you guys know the drill by now. If you're live, drop us a comment, let us know, give us a thumbs up, and we'll get into today's TTI, which I'm quite excited about.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Your phone did drop.
I did say it would happen.
You did say it would happen. So yeah, awesome. I'm Andy is away today, which is just as well actually, because he's away and this is your first day back.
It is, yeah.
But we still haven't got any comments in there, so I still don't know if anyone's actually live at the moment. So we're gonna hang fire 2 seconds. There we go. Thank God. Because more than one time I've tried to go live. And Andy's the technical guy, so if he's not here to fix it, then it's an absolute disaster. But yeah, morning everyone, how's it going? So hey Bri, hey Evertrek, it's just the two of us today. Yeah, I think the comments are going to come in a little slow today. But anyway, hey Stuart, how's it going? So
hi, Stuart.
Jambo. Valid point. Was Stuart on your trip with you?
No, Stu went a few weeks before.
Oh yeah, nice. But yeah, so we're gonna do a little bit of hey, Zachariah Gidney. Was he on your trip with you?
He was, yeah.
So he's gonna be able to know if everything that you tell is the truth now.
It's all the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome, Zach. Well done to you as well. So so today's Tuesday tune-in is going to be a bit of a Kilimanjaro bonanza. We're going to talk everything about Kili, but more importantly, it was Jody's and Zach's, your first time ever at altitude.
Yeah, first time ever.
Yeah, so it's really interesting, I think, whenever one of the team goes and does their very first ever trip, because we can find out what it was like for your perspective on your first time at altitude, what it took to do Kilimanjaro, the ups, the downs, the problems, and things that you had to overcome. I heard Zach snoring was a nightmare. They had to move him pretty far away.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell us about it. How are you feeling?
No, I'm good. It feels like I've just been thrown back into everything.
Yeah. You found out you were doing this morning when you turned up. Yeah.
Yeah, I was as long as I could put makeup on.
Yeah. That's exactly what Zach usually says as well.
Yeah, I'm good. Just getting back to normal now.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been away for months.
I
just feel like I've been away for ages. But yeah, I'm all good.
It feels like you were prepping for a long time.
Yeah.
Because you've known you were going for quite a while.
Yeah.
And I feel like for quite a while you've been worrying about did I have everything I need?
Yeah, but the problem was that I didn't actually start organizing it until a few weeks before.
Yeah, true.
This is how I do things.
So you started worrying a long time before, but didn't do anything to solve the worrying until a few days before. Exactly. So the biggest question that I've had on my mind was, did you have anything? Did you have everything you needed?
Yes, pretty much. There's a few things I would have probably taken, little bits. I forgot my tiger balm. That was something I definitely needed while I was there. There wasn't anything particularly other than that, I don't think. Maybe a few different meds, but nothing major.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, I suppose tiger balm, muscle relaxants and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it is very important. I'll be honest, I've never used it.
Haven't you?
No. I've used it for if I've had a cold.
Oh no, it's amazing.
I put a little bit on my chest when I had a cold.
Yeah.
But we got quite a few people finally tuned in now. So we got Kita from Nepal, Darren Shadbolt, Marky V all the way from Ferriche, -20 and Gorek Shep.
Nice.
Yeah, Gorek Shep, it's often compared a lot to sort of the Maldives, I think. There's a lot of similarities there. I've actually done a really cold night in Gorek Shep, Mark, where I woke up and the wall was frozen. It had this layer of frost on it, so that was a barrel of laughs. But Ferriche now, mate, the hard work's done. You can start celebrating tomorrow because you'll be in Namche. Joe, so tell us about it then. So what was I guess we'll start at the beginning. Were you nervous before you went up there? Were any, the altitude or anything like that? I mean, you weren't worried about fitness, were you?
Not so much with the fitness, but altitude was the massive worry for me. Especially when I seen the mountain as well, when we flew over from Namibia, and we were lower than the actual top because we were on like one of the small planes, and that's when I was like, oh, oh dear. But yeah, and it just you look at it and you're like, there's no way I'm going to the top of that. That was the
It is
first.
huge. I am jealous. I didn't know that. So you flew in one of the smaller planes, like around Kilimanjaro, but like lower than its summit.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
Yeah, it wasn't what was meant to happen. That was because we missed the connecting flight, which is another story.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah. So you were delayed.
Yeah.
You were supposed to go from just Istanbul and then into Tanzania.
Into Kilimanjaro. But instead, we went from Istanbul it was Nairobi we went to.
Yeah.
And then from Nairobi over to Kilimanjaro. So it was a lot long. It was about 9 hours later than we were supposed to arrive.
But also I heard because you came in via Kenya, they were asking you for your yellow fever.
But apparently I did hear after that if you're there for longer than 12 hours, you need the yellow fever. So it wasn't too much of an issue. Yeah. But yeah. So it was definitely breathtaking when you see it first of all.
Yeah.
Just done.
You see, I never actually saw it.
Didn't you?
Because it was so cloudy. I got up early one morning to have a look.
Yeah, we had a good few sights beforehand.
Yeah. Because it is vast. That's one of the things that like strikes you about Kilimanjaro is that there's nothing around it.
Yeah. That's
to kind of sort of give you an idea that there's this mountain range. It's like a relatively flat landscape. And this vast, hulking, giant volcano.
And half the time you can't quite see the top, can you? Because of the clouds.
Yeah.
So you can just see the sort of beginning.
Yeah. And obviously you did the Lamosho route.
Yeah.
8 days. So did you find it, like, when did you start to feel the altitude? Because
I was saying, so I didn't really feel it that much, and I didn't take any Diamox for this reason. I was had the Diamox with me, but I was always thinking if I got to a certain day and I was thinking, I'm really struggling, then I'll start to take them. If that's the case. But it was only on summit night where I actually felt it, which was, I think maybe it wasn't the best sort of way to do it. If I'd felt it a little bit sooner and had the bit of Diamox, it might have been a bit easier on summit night. But I really felt it on summit night.
The thing is, like you said, though, sometimes on summit night, it can be nerves, tiredness. Yeah. I mean, that's the one thing that makes Kili such a big challenge is that, some people have trekked at altitude before. Sometimes they've trekked at night before. Sometimes they've trekked, really long distances before. Kili is all three of those things. And
the tiredness was on summit night was the worst part, I think. It was just, you try to get a little bit of rest before it, and then 7 hours, I think it was, up after that.
Yeah.
No sleep at all. Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah.
It's not for the faint-hearted.
No. Kevin Holmes, how did he get on? He says he knows you. Did he really struggle?
No, he was great. Kev, really? Actually, yeah. Both the Kevs.
Yeah. Who got to the summit first? Did you beat Kev?
I don't know. I was in such a daze, but I don't even know.
Yeah.
I'm like, was I even there?
I always remember that because I remember when me and Andy did it, and I was just a few steps ahead of Andy, sort of on the ridge bit from Stella Point up to the summit. And it was still dark, but I could just see the sun creeping up, and I thought, oh, this is going to be an epic sunrise. So I stopped and looked back for Andy, and I could see him like walking with his eyes closed. I'd never seen it before. And apparently he said like he would look like 10 feet ahead of him and be like, okay, no obstacles there.
Yeah.
And then just close his eyes for a rest.
I don't think I lifted my head up much. I did make the mistake going up at one point to look all the way up, and I seen a head torch so far up, and I was like, stop looking up. That's enough of that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I know exactly what you mean. I have this same problem every time Kev says you beat him. Awesome. Yeah, no one can beat our Jode. There's also a Kilimanjaro marathon as well. Are you going to go back and do that?
Definitely not.
Yeah, because I know Yetis ran to the summit.
You were saying about it, yeah.
So yeah, you could. I reckon you should do that. I've been nagging you to do the Everest Marathon. You're going to do it, aren't you? Is it next year you're doing it?
It's supposed to be 2025, wasn't it?
2025, yeah.
We'll see.
It's not as high as Kili.
Yeah. Do you know, with Kili, right, until I got to around 5,500, that's when it just went very downhill from there.
Yeah, that's when you said, yeah, but that's very, very high.
And everyone's like, it was only 395 left then, but that 395 felt like the whole way up.
Yeah.
That felt like its own little mountain.
I wonder which point where 5.5 is. Like, I wonder if Stella Point's that high.
I was just looking. No, I think that's 5, 7.
Yeah, because it says on the certificate, I think it's got like because there's Stella Point and a few other things like that. Look, Everest Marathon is on Bry's bucket list. Okay, Bry, drop Jody an email and you can do the trip together. But yeah, so what would you say is the biggest challenge that you experience on Kilimanjaro?
Ooh, it's definitely, summit night is definitely the biggest part of it and the toughest part of it. It's I guess it's being tired and comfortable and then just trying to push through when you're feeling like that, when you feel like you just want to have a rest, night's sleep. But yeah, the summit night was just was
it sounds like it's the tiredness, the sleep deprivation. And then I do find that whenever I do a mountain and I haven't slept very well, or you have to do it with no sleep, it's very easy for your mind to almost like turn against you and be like, I'm sick of this. Yeah. And then the next thing you know, if you're really tired, it's hard to chirp up. And
people are like, it's just one foot in front of the other. And then when you're at that stage, you're like, oh, but.
yeah. But it's one foot in front of the other, uphill, still going on.
And you could feel it, can't you? When you get to a certain point, it starts to, I'm not saying it's so hard to breathe, but like you get out of breath a lot easier than you would doing any other sort of activity. You can start feeling that, you take a few steps and you're like trying to get your breath back. No, it was, the other days, except for the time I hit my knee.
Yeah, we'll get to that bit.
Yeah, the other days, I think it's still tough, there's still a lot of uphills and downhills on the way.
Yeah.
But I was like appreciating the views and like really like enjoying, spending time. We had an amazing group of people as well. There was 10 of us, so quite a nice big group. And we all sort of got on really, really well, had chats along the way. So it was really good.
Nice. My favorite bit actually, if excluding the summit, which the summit, when I remember.
What's your favorite bit?
Yeah, I mean, it was probably
No, when you get to the summit, of course.
Yeah. So the honestly though, I had it's funny because I love collecting people's experiences of what it was like. I didn't mind it so much, but I was used to night shifts.
Okay.
So I done in my history, I've done a lot of night shifts. So like get up at start work at 7 and work till 7.
Yeah.
And it was a physical job. So I'm relatively used to that feeling of I've had enough of this. Yeah. And the more you do it, the easier it gets. When I did Kili, I genuinely felt like, okay, that experience kind of helped.
Yeah.
The bit that I really struggled with was the walk, not even back down to the camp, Barafu. That was fine. I mean, it's long and it's that ash, dusty, slippy stuff.
That part,
But it's that other walk back down to, I think it's Mweka.
Yeah.
It's
it's you have an hour or an hour to have sit down, have something to eat, and then we're going again.
Yeah.
And you're like, I just
Well, you see, when I did it, I didn't sleep at all the day before. I was too excited. So I was lying in bed and I just kept thinking, like, I think I checked my pack about 20 times. Like, okay, I gotta make sure everything's in there, and then I check it again. But when I did sleep, and I wish I didn't, was in that hour.
Yeah.
I got back off the summit and I laid down and I just went immediately. And then it felt like a blink and I was awake again and being made to walk. And I wish I'd stayed awake.
Yeah.
Because that hour, I think I needed 12 hours sleep. That hour just made things worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's part of the challenge.
It is.
It is part of the challenge. I think though that probably one of my highlights other than the summit was Barranco Wall, getting to the top.
I think everyone liked that one as well. Again, my knee wasn't in the best shape at that point. But the guides were amazing. helping and all the rest of it. And to be honest, because you can hold on to the
Yeah.
rocks going up, it wasn't as bad as it could be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good part. Yeah, it was one of the best parts of the trip, I think.
mean,
yeah.
I remember when you arrive at Barranco and you see the wall. And you look at it and you do think,
you're like, I'm not getting up there.
I'm not Alex Honnold. Like, how am I going to get up there? But actually, when you get up close and personal with it, it's not that tricky, really. A lot of people worry about it because they think it's scrambly, but technically you do have to use your hands.
Yeah.
But the guides keep you safe and keep you on a path where it's not easy to fall.
Yeah.
If you really have to try hard to kind of fall. and you 50-50, if you fall one way, you'll just bump into the wall.
Yeah.
But Kissing Rock, did you go?
Yeah,
did you like
across
that?
Yeah.
It's not as bad, is it? As
No, and again, the guides are there. Like, there's one on the side waiting for you to come over, one sort of behind you. Like, they're all there. There's no way you're falling.
Yeah, I remember when I did it, I kind of put my hammer in and the guide was, he didn't find it funny.
No.
But tell us what happened to your knee then. How did you deal with that?
On day 2.
Day 2? That's an easy day. Actually, is that where you got the elephant's back?
Elephant's back. Yeah, it wasn't even during the actual walk. So
right.
That's all I did was I sort of squat to go into my bag.
Yeah.
And my knee just decided to lock
completely.
So I tried to get back up quickly and it was just so painful. It then swelled up like a balloon.
Yeah.
I was showing you a picture earlier, weren't I?
Yeah, no, it was like at least twice the size of the good knee.
But again, the guides were incredible, and the guys, to be fair, they were like, "Can I get you some sort of painkillers?" I had your poles, and everyone's slowly walking anyway. So it wasn't a major issue. I did think at the time I'm probably gonna have to go back down because I can't. It's day 2 out of 8, so it's probably not going to go well. But I had they helped me out tremendously with everything, and luckily day by day it got a little bit easier to walk on it again. And by summit night, I could walk normally. At least.
Was it so? Your knee, was that just like a cartilage issue, or just locked?
So years ago, like about 8 years ago, I had an operation on it as well. It was loose cartilage, so I've had keyhole surgery on it before. So I don't know if it's just something that there's a lot of, you've got the long drops, you've got the tent going back and forth. So I guess you kind of in that squat sort of position quite a bit.
The tent is, I've never found an effective way of getting in and out of it other than just crawl. But you don't really want to put your hands in the dirt. So I've kind of got used to crawling out of a tent like this,
especially when you don't want to bend your leg though as well.
Oh yeah, like I don't know, I would have probably scooted out like just put the legs out first and scooted out.
It wasn't pleasant getting in and out of the tent.
No, but well done for doing it though, and it does go to show as well that it's the team around you then, isn't it, that come together.
Honestly, I was thinking they're gonna be like, oh, you're probably gonna have to go back down. But they were like, let's just see how it is, take it day by day. We're all walking together. It wasn't like everyone was waiting for me or anything like that. We're all just walking slowly anyway. I did miss the acclimatization day.
That's up before you get to Lava Tower, right? So Shira 2?
Yes. So the rest of the guys, so in the afternoon they did like a little acclimatization walk. I spoke to Yetis and he I asked him basically like, does he think I should be going on it or not? And he said it would be better off resting it. So I had it up in the mess tent, just seeing if I could
I mean, you are right. That acclimatization day there up to Barranco is it's not a massive increase. It does help. Not everyone does it. A lot of the teams, other companies just get to that camp and just stay there. But we always do a little hike up, sort of like a third of the way up to Barranco and then back down. Just to give you a little bit of altitude gain. And it's purely because the next day, funny enough, up to Barranco, a lot of people struggle altitude-wise. I mean, it's amazing that you didn't. It's a testament to how fit you are that you didn't struggle going up there, because I was really struggling on the way. Only time ever I've experienced any issues with altitude. I mean, Kalapatar, EBC 4 times, Tupkal, nothing like that has ever really bothered me beyond the, you just
the breathing,
and you get like, one thing I do notice at altitude is you get that burning in your muscles a little bit sooner than you normally do.
Yeah.
But on the way up to Barranco, I just felt dizzy.
Did you?
First time ever. Just really peculiar and dizzy. I wasn't sick. I didn't have a massive headache. I just kind of felt like I had like an inner ear issue or something.
That was how I felt on summit night though. When I got to that point, and it hit me like straight away. I was like, I'm fine. I'm just a bit tired. Then all of a sudden I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't good.
It's strange how altitude gets you, because it does make you a bit like dopey.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. I was like sort of stumbling around at one point as well, and I was like, like, why can't you just walk in a straight line?
Yeah. Well, that was it. It was really like, it was a strange feeling that I took Diamox then. So I started taking Diamox when I got to Lava Tower, just half a pill, and then half a pill in the morning, half in the evening, like every day then till I got down, and those symptoms just went away.
I think I would have, if I was to do it again, or if I had my time back, I think I would have taken Diamox when I got over maybe 4,000 odd. I think it's
tricky though. If you felt fine altitude wise until that point on the summit, it's you'd have been fine. You're just starting to feel it like close to the summit. That's okay, because you can battle through that, get up and get down.
Yeah.
But awesome. How did Zach get on?
Yeah, he did amazingly, to be fair, because he was really unwell.
Yeah.
Even before we started, he was saying like, I don't know if I should be going. And for the first, he seemed to have like one day where he was really okay, and then the next day he'd go down, and then it was like up and down every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, the guides managed to get him some medication that really, really helped him. He was feeling a lot, I'm not saying 100%, but a lot better by summit night.
Yeah.
And he did amazingly. But yeah, it was a tough one for him. He had a cough, and it obviously doesn't have when you're at altitude, and when you're walking and struggling to catch your breath and things. So it was difficult for him. I'm sure he'll tell everyone about it as well. But
Zach, though, we put him in some situations.
Yeah.
He thinks he's never going to go back and do Toubkal again. But I know for a fact he is.
I don't know about that.
No, 100% he is. Because I think I'm going to go back. I've learned to love it now. And I think it's that Toubkal, I say I learned to love it. It's not like I hated it, but my experience with Toubkal was so up and down. And it's so peculiar that I've been a lot higher than the summit of Toubkal. Like Dingboche, there's a snooker table, and that's 4,400 meters.
Yeah.
So 300 meters higher than the summit of Toubkal. I've played snooker. But for some reason, that mountain I don't know what it is. It leaves me a little battle scarred every time I go there. So the first time I went there, obviously I failed to get to the top and I was sick. Second time I went there, I did get to the top, but it was during a winter storm, so I nearly froze to death. And then this time when I got it, I brought back some sinus infection that I've only just...
Nice.
But every time I go there, I feel like it's a worthy adversary. I don't know what it is about Toubkal, but I just feel like it's good.
Yeah, yet to do it yet.
But Kili knows that because Toubkal's so quick, you can't really compare it to Kili. And Kili, when you're on it for the first 2-3 days, I don't really have a sense that I'm even climbing a mountain half the time.
No, it is a strange one, but like, yeah, you just feel like especially when you're in the mess tent in the night. And we had a really, as I said earlier, a really nice group, and we had like a laugh in the evenings and things. And then you'd step outside and you just look up, and it was just like stars, and and then you'd wake up in the morning, get out of your tent, and you're above the clouds, and it was just incredible.
Oh, amazing.
Like it was like nothing I can even ever have imagined before. It's like being on a different planet.
Do you know what? I think a few people said that when they were on Kili.
Yeah.
You have this sense that you're just somewhere else.
And you can't, it's like hard to speak to people for a while, isn't it? I wasn't ignoring you either. I'd get a text message from you, just like, how are you doing? And then I was like, yes, I've got signal. And I go to write back.
It's the same. I would text you and Zach at the same time. And then it was mainly summit night I was concerned about. And then Zach sent me a message saying, oh yeah, we both made it, went through hell. And I was like, okay, brilliant. And then he elaborated that he had a cough and you were at your knee. But guys, don't forget as well that if you have any questions about Jody's experience on Kilimanjaro or anything else altitude or climbing related, put them in the comments so we can tackle those things. yeah, I was going to say, like, so in terms of equipment then, what would you, so is there anything that you think you didn't need?
I probably took a few too much sort of, I think I had spare pair of bottoms that I didn't really need to use, a fleece.
Yeah.
I think it's difficult because you don't want to not have enough either, do you? You know, so you want to make sure you've got. So the first couple of days we were in sort of shorts, then you've got, I don't know. It is difficult.
Yeah, because I guess the mountain is different for some people. So,
and like we did have a bit of rain at the beginning.
Yeah.
The week before, people were saying they didn't have any rain at all.
Yeah.
People are coming down. But the rain wasn't to the point where it was, you know, everything was soaked and it was torrential. It would downpour and then you'd have time to sort of dry off as you go. Yeah, you need all your, you know, your waterproofs. I wasn't sure about the poles before I went, but I'm so glad I had the poles.
Yeah, especially if you hurt your knee, that would have made a massive difference on the way down.
It definitely did. I can't really think of anything specific that I didn't have too much really. It was just the odd bits. Maybe I just swapped a little bit of things around really.
Yeah, I mean the poles are amazing. Like I'm a convert to poles, a late convert. I never used them for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And then I went to EBC and I just bought one. I just had one pole, but actually I don't like using one now because it tends to make my shoulder ache a bit for some reason. Maybe that's because it was a bit too high, perhaps. But now I don't trek without them. Yeah. I mean, unless it's like an easy little jaunt that I'm used to. But if I'm going on a trip, I always use them. Yeah. It's fantastic. They're amazing. Awesome. I had a question from Alison Morgan, who has said, I suffered with vertigo in the past and still take meds for it. Would you suggest taking Diamox at the start of the trek or just in case? Excuse me, my throat is still a bit bad. So with vertigo, I guess it depends on what's actually causing it. Altitude might not necessarily affect it in any way. But with Diamox, so there's no right or wrong way to take it. And the two ways are that you either start on it. So, you know, as soon as you start hiking at high altitude, you'll start with probably half a pill in the morning, half in the evening. And you can then maybe up that dose to a full pill if you need to. Or the other one is like what Jody did, which is start without it, see how you get on. And then if you need to, you can always start on it. That's the way that I've always done it, but I'm not going to say that's the right way because there isn't a right or wrong way. It comes down to one, I guess, your own peace of mind. I know a lot of people, if they go to altitude, they take Diamox. That's just what they do, you know, because it gives them peace of mind that they're doing everything they can to help. And then other people like me that I would rather not take it, not because of any pride issue. I've taken it in the past. It's more because I just don't want to take an unnecessary drug, you know? So, but it kind of depends, I guess. There's only one way to find out really, I guess, with the Diamox and the vertigo is to go to altitude. I mean, you know, Toubkal can be done relatively quickly. You know, there are other places you can go. You can go to the Alps and stuff for a bit of a holiday and ski in and go and see how it works. And then when you go on a trek, then you'll have like sort of tested yourself and see how it feels. John Dyer's got a question for you, Joe. Yeah. He says, how did you find the temperature at night?
It was cold.
Yeah.
No, it was. The first few nights wasn't sort of unbearable. Like you could get away with. I had sort of a base layer and a top and a fleece just on. But yeah, and in your sleeping bags, as long as you've got your sort of more.
Yeah.
What we've got the 4 season sleeping
the
bags.
Rab, so the bag you had was the Rab Ascent 700.
It was boiling.
Yeah, it's a really warm bag.
Was so nice, so to just like cocoon in it, just completely like over my head.
The other thing that makes a difference is the Thermarest blow-up mattress. Yeah. So that's designed to kind of trap air.
Right, okay.
And send it sort of upwards.
Yeah.
So it traps your body heat in the mattress. So you don't, a lot of the time, if you sleep on the ground with a rubbish mattress, you'll just lose heat from the ground. But this kind of keeps it all in one place.
Yeah. And then what I found, like higher up then, you'd sit in the mess tent because there was so many of us, it would kind of, and we'd shut the zip and you'd kind of keep the heat in. And then as soon as you walk outside, you're like, oh,
yeah.
And then brushing your teeth and everything was obviously, not the nicest, but yeah, as long as you've got a few layers to wrap up in. Again, I stuck to sort of just more layers and then a fleece on top and things. It wasn't, some people wore their down jackets in the nights.
Really? So it sounds like it's pretty cold then.
It was. At certain camps, it was quite cold. I guess it depends on. There was one time where it was like particularly windy. We were laughing. We had. It was by Lava Tower or by Branca Wall. We had like a tea party, I guess, just on the side of the mountain, but it was so windy that we had to hold everything down.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Everything was going everywhere, and we just sat there with our coats, our hats, and everything on, just like.
Yeah, that sounds like. Usually they do that on the top of Barranca Wall.
Barranca Wall, it was.
Where it's just a big flat area, and you look at it, and you got the clouds and everything.
And they were saying it's not usually this windy.
No, yeah.
So we were holding everything down. They had to like pin everything down.
Yeah.
It was birds everywhere trying to get the cake.
Was there?
Yeah.
That was one of the highlights of my whole trip, was getting to that point. It was such an amazing experience because we got up the top and it was all the guides were there. They set out, like you said, a little picnic. You have so you have cake and sweets and drinks. But then our guides were like playing music as well.
Oh, nice.
So that's the one thing I love about Kilimanjaro, and it's strange because I don't really have a strong opinion on, some people think, if you go to the mountains, oh, bye, Kate, lovely to see you, Anya. That's Kate. She was on Toupcal with us. Yeah, she's a good egg.
I've just seen Charlotte was on from mine as well.
Oh, Charlotte Alice.
Hi, Charlotte.
Great. What'd she say? Great trekking with you, Jody and Zach. What an amazing team we had. Feels so long ago already. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, can you believe you're back in work now?
Oh my God.
Jody's turned up. She's like, hey, does my laptop work? Where's my cables gone? I
was like, what do I do?
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? You go through so many emotions in that sort of 11-day period. Yeah. It sort of changes you.
I honestly felt like I was there for like a month or two, honestly. And then, because it's so much, you do so much in that time. It just feels mental now.
Yeah. I find that when I go away, particularly if it's sort of over a week, because normally if you go on holiday, your mindset doesn't really change much day to day.
Yeah.
If you go on a beach holiday, which are nice, but you get up, you go to the beach, you kind of know what experience you're going to have, and anything that changes is like a restaurant or a bar, all within perfectly normal stuff. And then when you go to Kili, though, you're like, you have such wild ups and downs that emotionally you're on a much longer journey than you are time wise.
Yeah.
So when you come back, you feel like you've come back from war.
I didn't do it so much this week, but for like the few days afterwards, I kept on thinking I was in a tent.
Yeah.
And you've got the mozzie nets on your bed. I was like, am I? Really disoriented. I was like, am I in the tent?
Yeah. Amazing.
So, I was very disoriented.
Look, they've all turned out. Rob's on here as well.
Hi, Rob.
Is this like the Kili group?
This is, yeah. They've heard, haven't they?
They've heard you.
They want to make sure I'm not saying anything bad about them. Maybe.
Yeah, no. I mean, all the stuff you've told me about Rob. Yeah, wow, what a guy. You haven't mentioned him, but awesome. What Stuart Taylor said, took my Thermarest mattress after my recommendation. I'm assuming he means my recommendation, but the mattress supplied by the team were very comfortable and wider if you're a restless sleeper. Interesting. I didn't find them comfortable at all.
No, there's two people on the trip had the mats provided, and they said that they could feel everything basically still. But I guess
they are wider though.
Yes.
And I think they're just like a tough foam mattress. They reminded me of sort of the ones you'd get in school when you did PE.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But perhaps more comfortable than that, but that type of thing. What I find is best is bring your Thermarest mattress and have one of theirs as well. So
one person did do that. Actually, I think,
that makes a big difference. What I did, so me and Andy both went. I had my blow up Thermarest. He didn't. He was using the ones that get provided, and I said, no, I don't need one. So they just didn't carry mine up. But then after a while, we swapped because I do quite like a firm bed. I just can't sleep on it day in, day out.
Yeah.
But yeah, same in Toupcal actually. The mattresses in Toupcal were great. You know, they're sort of similar. But again, if you want a really comfortable night's sleep, the Thermarest is really good. What I love about it is when it packs like this big.
I did find as well, right, on certain camps, they were on a bit of a slope.
Oh yeah.
And then you'd wake up in the morning and you'd be like all the way down
Yeah.
and you're like, right, why am I all the way down here?
One thing,
and to like push yourself back.
Yeah. So one thing I do in that scenario is I put my duffel bag down where my feet are.
That's a good idea.
So I can like.
It's a bit late now, but
yeah. Sorry. You should have messaged me. But So if you are on a bit of a slant, which can happen sometimes on a mountain, take your duffel bag, put it under your feet, and then you kind of just propped up by it.
Yeah.
Although one time I remember sleeping and I was kind of like on a slant that way.
Yeah.
So they erected the tent the wrong way. This wasn't on Kili, this was on another trip. And I had to like put it next to me just so I'd stop me like rolling over. But I love camping on an expedition, even if it's really, really cold.
See, I think after Kili, I think I'm going to be more tempted
more of a tea house girl.
Tea house.
Yeah.
Somewhere I can stand up and,
Yeah. It does help being able to stand up. Awesome.
They were incredible though. Like the campsite and things, everything when we arrived at the next camp, everything was like in place, the mess tent, the water, you can't fault it. It's just that maybe camping's not really for me.
No. Well,
2 to 3 days max.
Yeah.
I'm happy with, and then I like a shower.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, so it's funny, right? Because if I'm going on an expedition, I love camping. I don't know why, but there's something about the coziness of having the tent and all my things together.
Yeah.
And this is my little sanctuary.
To be fair, I've not been to a tea house. Maybe I'd changed my mind.
They're definitely more comfortable than a tent.
That's what I thought.
Largely because, you can sit on the bed and put your shoes on rather than just kind of like awkwardly doing. But back home, I'm not a fan of camping. Going to a festival or something like that, I'm not interested.
No.
I'll sleep in the back of my van or rent a hotel and just go, I'm not a fan of camping in that respect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do love a nice expedition sort of camping feel. We camped on Toupcal just gone. And we didn't have to because there wasn't many people there. And I'm thinking this might be due to the earthquake putting people off. So if you are planning on going to Toupcal, now's the time to do it because it's such an amazing experience. But the refuge, if I wanted, I could have my own private room in the refuge. It was so easy to do. You just had to go up there and just kind of pay $40 or whatever and you'd have it. But I was like, no, I'm going to stick with the tent. Even though on the second night it was really cold and I had 2 hours sleep. I don't know why, I just could not sleep at all.
You get like that though, don't you?
Yeah.
I had few, not too many. I tend to have slept quite well, but there was 1 or 2 nights where I don't know, I guess because you're on your own and it's like a big thing and you're overthinking everything then basically, and then I was like, can you just switch off for 2 minutes? I think I don't know what it was on Toupcal because it was after the summit. So I'd already done what I'd gone there to do. Yeah. So I should have been... I slept well after.
Really? Yeah. You were like a log. But I thought that's what would have been the case for me. But I got back down. And when I went to bed, I was like lying there. I had a podcast on and I thought maybe I'll turn it off. That didn't work. So I turned it back on again and 2 hours sleep. So the next day back to Imlil, the first hour, I wasn't really like very cognizant of what was happening.
Yeah.
But yeah. Strange how that works, the sleep patterns on the hill. But so another question from Alison Morgan who said, random question, our EBC trek begins on the 5th of October next year. What date would you suggest leaving the UK? Just worried about flight delays and layovers, etc. So yeah, normally we would say you're going to have to leave the UK on the 4th to arrive on the 5th. If you do want to be extra secure in terms of delays, you could leave on the 3rd and have an extra night. So it means you would arrive a day earlier than the trip dictates. So you'd need to cover the cost of the extra night in the hotel. But if you do have a really strange long delay for whatever reason, then, you're not going to be super stressed out. I think it's always important as well to have days at the end of the trip as well, at least one day. We've seen it happen. So the weather's really unpredictable. I think it's getting more and more unpredictable, probably due to the effects of climate change, where, you know, winters are getting strangely milder, but spring's getting more wild. And then you have all of a sudden just bad weather that comes out of nowhere and stays for a few days. So it's really important to have dates at the end of the trip as well. Personally, I always say 2 days is great, because you come back and you have, you know, your first day after the trip, you can just shower and eat and have a few drinks.
Yeah.
The next day, go out and do some celebrating, or maybe go to a spa, sit by the pool, and then, you know, another day then to do more stuff. So I always think 2 days is absolutely perfect.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, you had extra days, didn't you?
I did the safari as
Yeah.
well. But yeah, we arrived a day, well, luckily we arrived a day earlier.
Yeah.
And then had a couple of extra days then to do the safari and things after.
And you saw a lion cub.
I did see a lion cub. It was the best.
Was it?
Yeah, I am like the biggest Lion King fan.
Yeah.
So I seen
Did you want to go and pick it up?
seen some warthogs.
Yeah.
Seen hyenas, lions. It was incredible.
Warthog, the one I saw, was smaller than I thought they'd be.
Oh, no, this was.
It wasn't like a big pig, like this big.
Yeah, the ones I seen were quite
Really,
big.
this one was quite small.
Yeah.
Yeah, we also saw a it's like a little jackal.
I didn't see a jackal.
Yeah, they're small.
Yeah.
Like a fox sort of size.
Yeah.
Did you see hippos as well?
I did see loads of hippos.
Yeah.
Quite close to the hippos.
Yeah, we saw them, and they just look like rocks in the water.
And there's birds stood on them.
And then all of a sudden one of them will fart or something like that, and that'll give it away that it's not a rock. Did the lion cub did it try and roar or anything? Did you hear it?
No, it was
squeaks.
It wasn't. It was the mother was like a little bit further down, but it was on its own. But the guide was actually saying that it's quite rare to see them because they tend to hide in the rocks and things. And apparently there's 4 more.
Oh, is there?
Or there was 4 in total. Sorry. So it was basically, it was really lucky that we got to see.
One of them's really brave and came out to say hello.
Yeah.
I bet if you went over to see it, the mother would have gone wild.
Yes, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
As tempting as it would be.
Did you see elephants as well?
Loads of elephants.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely loads of them. I've there was one video and there's like baby elephants, big elephants, and they're all just like walking along together. It was incredible.
Amazing.
Yeah.
You know, when you were at Ngorongoro as well, did you get warned about the birds? Because they're called black kites, and they will swoop down and steal food out your hand.
Oh no!
Especially chicken. Where we got warned about it, maybe it was the time of year they were there. But I was eating chicken with Andy, snatched, just out of nowhere, crazy. So in the end, me and Andy went into the car and had food in the car. But the guide was telling us that there was a Russian tourist there on safari, and he put a chicken bone like on his head and just stood there, thinking the bird would just snatch the chicken bone. But the bird just sort of like practically scalped it. And I said, "What happened?" And he was like, "End of safari, back to the hospital."
Yeah, that's definitely not a good idea.
Yeah. Michael Perryman, got my advanced mountaineering consultation at the Altitude Centre today. Can't wait. Awesome, mate. Say hello to James as well there. James was actually on the last training weekend. You were in Tanzania.
No.
Yeah, but
suffering with the altitude instead.
Yeah. Oh, Rob Pomfret said we had that in Ngorongoro. It was our guide who had a mouthful stolen from the bird. You were so lucky then, because these birds they hover around you, and the guide was telling me apparently they watch your eyes, and if you sort of look away, they'll be like, and then in a second they'll just come down and snatch whatever food they've got out your hand.
Oh.
And I'll be honest with you, a big part of me wanted to just go and put food down and like watch him do it, but the guy was like, absolutely not. The last thing they need is encouragement. But
it was quite crazy there, because you'd see like a lion or something, and then you'd drive for 5 minutes and they're like, and this is the picnic area. Like,
yeah.
I'm not sure about this.
Yeah. Alison says similar to St. Ives, but that's seagulls rather than red kites, I think, or black kites. Yeah, you are right when you're in Ngorongoro. Apparently, they think the animals probably know to leave that area alone because of all the noise and stuff. But yeah, it's not like there's a fence, is there? It's not like Jurassic Park where you think there's a fence. Safety on one side, lions on the other.
And they've got the Maasai tribe there, and they live
Yeah.
in there as well. And then you see some quite young children just walking around with a big stick.
Yeah, they all have the sticks.
Yeah, and it's just insane.
One of the things that's amazing in Tanzania, if you get the chance, is to go to a Maasai village.
Yeah.
Did you go to one?
Well, they've got the villages inside, haven't they, in Ngorongoro.
Ngorongoro. Apparently, I asked where that name comes from,
Mm.
and apparently it's from they used to sort of, the Maasais and stuff have their cattle and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's from the bell that they put around the cattle, and it's like
Ngorongoro.
Apparently that's the name for the.
They're like allowed to live there, aren't they? Because they don't sort of interfere with the wildlife at all. So they're sort of welcome there because of that reason.
Yeah, well, they don't. They're a sort of nomadic. They set up here and then they move around all the time. So it was amazing to see them when we stopped in the village, and they were doing like their jumping.
Yeah.
And those boys can jump. And apparently the guy said, I don't know if he was winding me up, but he said, the higher you jump, the more wives you get. and I jumped and I said, how would I do? And he said, I'd be lonely. He said, you'd be lonely. So that was funny. And they did this, they lit the fire. So they do like a ceremony where they light a fire. But I remember on the way to Ngorongoro, there was a big bull elephant just walking through this sort of Maasai village. And just like, not even in the crater, this was just on the way. And it's just mad. I was driving along and then all of a sudden the driver goes, elephant. I was like, sorry.
It was the same. We, on the way to Kilimanjaro, to the Lamosho gate, we seen just a giraffe crossing the road. Yeah. And then obviously the monkeys at the beginning.
Yeah.
The wildlife is incredible out there. It's just
It blew my mind. I think there were blue monkeys or something they were called, and in the trees and on day one. Yeah.
Oh, on our first night in the first camp, they were having a little sort of tiff, I think.
Really?
Monkeys in the trees. Yeah. I woke up and I was like, did anyone else hear the monkeys last night? And they were like, yes.
Yeah.
They were going mad. But
I love the wildlife.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things about a trip is to kind of see what's going on. When we were in Toubkal, both times I've done it before, we were in the lodge. This is one thing that you miss out on, is the noises and activity at night that goes on in that area.
That's what people like to miss out on.
I guess, yeah. But I was lying in bed and you could hear this fox like calling out. It's not a very pleasant noise, really. It's quite frightening. But I remember right by my head, I had like some food, like a pack of crystals. It must have been able to smell it through the tent because I could hear like, and this kind of like scratching. That's why I had to whack the tent like that, and then I heard it kind of scarper off, and then I didn't even click that I had this. It's like it was my bag full of my trekking snacks. And there was an open bag of crisps and stuff, and then come back and sniffing around, and I was like, oh, that's what it is. So I moved it and hid it, and then I looked out then. Just shone my head torch around and I couldn't see anything, but occasionally you'd flash past like eyes.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, I'll give it a wait before I go to the toilet. I think, you know. But awesome. So the question is, I guess, what's next?
Ooh, that is a big question.
Something with tea houses?
Yes. Yeah, it is more than likely.
Yeah.
Something like maybe EBC. My belly's crumbling.
Yeah, you haven't eaten.
Everest Base Camp, maybe with a Gokyo Valley or something with it. Yeah, I think something like that. It was incredible. It's just maybe I just like to stand up.
Yeah.
And especially with the knee issue, it would have been a lot nicer to be able to stand up.
Really?
Yeah. But that is, that's something that I was so sure I'd have no issues there. I didn't even take a knee strap with me, even though you recommended one.
I did, yeah.
But yeah, it just came out of nowhere.
Honestly, never trust your knees.
No.
Never trust them. I always have them with me now, but I do try and trek without them.
Yeah.
Because one thing I think was happening was that these the knee strap was sort of compensating a little bit.
Yeah.
And I wanted to build strength without it.
Yeah.
Kevin says you crushed it even with the knee issue.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kev
is that a different Kevin?
Yeah, there's two Kevs.
There's two
Kevs. Yeah. And I had to have some free massages too, as Rob is saying.
Did you? Oh, right. Yeah.
I had to massage every night and massage in the morning.
Yeah.
with my knees.
Oh, it
So
must have been hell.
Yeah, everyone else was sat around.
Yeah, well, you were having like a nice knee massage.
Yeah.
She's done this before, Kev. Every trip we go on, there's an issue.
No.
Oh, my back. Oh, I tell you what, daily.
Kev was amazing as well because he had issues. I think it was it thigh, I think, especially after Summit Night. And yeah, really, the coming down from Summit Night was horrendous for him. And he did incredibly well.
Well done for battling on, Kev.
Yeah.
I remember Jody on a training weekend once demanded like shiatsu head massages because she was having headaches. So this is a common theme, by the way. Common theme. Yeah, Sam says, stoked about my new down jacket for EBC. What did you get, Sam? You can't leave us hanging, mate. I need to know what it is. And Andrew Scott, middle-aged Malaysian guy has just died of altitude sickness on the EBC trek. A very experienced trekker. So sad, but just goes to show you shouldn't be complacent. Sorry to change the subject. No, and yeah, you're absolutely right. It is incredibly rare. And to die of altitude sickness on the EBC trek, to me, something's gone wrong there in the management of that person's, health, because on an EBC trek, altitude sickness is a progressive, like, sort of syndrome of illnesses, so you don't suddenly, you're not totally fine and everything's okay, and then you wake up and then you've got cerebral edema and you pass away. It doesn't happen like that unless there's an underlying health condition that's sort of struck. Altitude can put stress on the, cardiovascular system. If you've got a heart issue that you didn't know about, that could happen. But yeah, with our guys, I mean, you would have probably seen it on Kili that did they do the health check sheets and stuff like that?
Every night, yeah.
Yeah, and did they give you yours at the end?
No,
I've still got mine. Yeah, where I was writing down like how I felt and stuff like that. I think it was number 1 to 10 and stuff like that, and how you feel.
Yeah, yes, there was like a list of questions, and then the pulse ox, wasn't it? And then yeah.
Sam, what have you got? Oh, Rab Electron Pro. Yeah, really good jacket. It's the sort of successor to my first ever down jacket I bought for EBC, which was the Rab Infinity Pro Endurance, and they don't make that anymore. And the Electron is its sort of successor. Andrew says, yeah, my Nepalese guide friend said someone had missed the signs. Yeah, it's always the way. But I don't like that because the signs should be obvious. The no one who suddenly passes away would have been, they would have been walking slowly. They would have had headaches. They would have had nausea, sickness, all the sort of classic symptoms of altitude sickness. So, I don't like to hear stories like that because it's so very preventable. And sometimes, the best option is to turn around and go back. In terms of the amount of people that we take to EBC and Kilimanjaro, the amount that turn around is it's a small percentage, but it does happen. Were you 100% success rate on your trip?
Yeah, all 10 of us made it to the top. Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, I love it when that happens, when you get like a full group.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get a full group, I love at least 2 people not to do it.
Yeah.
Because I've been the only person of a group who doesn't do it.
We did think the Ever Trek too would have been a
yeah, Zach and Jody would have been like, do you know what? Not for us. Yeah.
But they were like, you can't go now.
Yeah. One of you would have had to go. Like, in that situation, we would have ignored the signs and just dragged one of you up, and then maybe brought you down in one of those metal things.
Oh god, yeah, we did see somebody
really
coming down on one of those. Yeah. It wasn't pleasant.
No, I mean, it can't be comfortable. I mean, it's such an amazing. I want to do something about getting some of those type stretches to Morocco.
Okay.
Because at the minute, I haven't seen any in Morocco, and they would be able to get people down to Imlil so much quicker and easier. Because then at the moment, I saw them carrying someone.
Right. Okay.
And I remember thinking, that's like 12 people there when you only really need 2 in one of those to kind of, because they got brakes on them, I think, as well. Some of them do.
Yeah.
I'm going to look into this. That's going to be my task. But awesome, Joe. Thanks so much for sharing your Kilimanjaro insights. Next week, we'll get Zach on and compare the stories. But no, thank you very much, guys. Any questions or anything like that you want to know about from Kili, don't hesitate to drop us a message. I'm going to stop now because I've just noticed one popped in. They always do that as I start the closing speech.
There was one more as well.
Did I miss one?
How John was asking how it held up on the way down. And so I was quite lucky that, my knee sort of, I wouldn't say it was 100% healed, but it was a lot better. I'd still use the poles. It is, there's some tricky parts coming down. There's a bit, we were talking about earlier, a little bit slidey parts.
Yeah, like the scree.
So you really need to be taking it slowly. The guides will literally help you down if you need it as well. I know, as I was saying earlier, Kev, his leg, when he was up on the summit, and they did everything they can to help him come down, and they're incredible with it. So if you've got any issues, though, they'll sort you out. It's not a problem.
Awesome. And Reese Wellington has said, silly question, but do you think something like EBC will be good for someone with chronic headaches? To be honest, I don't know, because it depends on the cause of the headaches, I guess. And sometimes that stuff, they really don't get a definitive answer. When you go to altitude, headaches are common. Most of the time they're due to the difference in pressure. So you end up with sort of a pressure headache in the temples. Altitude then, can cause other symptoms that, result in a headache. So to be honest, I wouldn't necessarily say it was a bad idea. I do know people that have suffered with headaches and things like that, like Vicky, our dancing Yeti, suffers from headaches, and that hasn't stopped her going out and taking on, altitude challenges and things like that. So I guess one thing I would recommend for you, Reese, is to actually go to the altitude center. We do offer assessments down there with those guys, and they're incredibly knowledgeable, and they can simulate the altitude. So they can put you in the altitude chamber, they can give you the equipment, and then we can assess from there. So one thing I always say is I don't like to kind of just take unnecessary and uneducated and unmanaged risks. Educate yourself as much as you can about altitude, go through the altitude center experience, and you'll know so much more about whether or not the trip's going to be right for you. So that's what I would go with. Awesome. I think that's it. So yeah, thank you very much for joining. We'll be back next week. And until then, stay safe. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. And